All right, I'll call the Erie County Board of Elections meeting to order. You start us with roll call, please.
Mr. Copeland,
Here.
Mrs. Showerman. Here. Mr. Scatella,
Here.
Chairman Drexel.
Here. All right, so first thing here, hearing of the public, anyone wish to speak?
To speak, I'll let Margaret go first. She's there.
It's okay, you go ahead.
Brenda, we recognize you, you have the floor.
Right, I was having trouble with my sound. So I actually read the contract. Read the contract for the equipment, and they do a really good job of covering themselves. So I have some questions. Is there a warranty for the equipment? Is there an optional warranty? There is only a 1-year warranty for the equipment, and it appears that there are extended warranties for the software, which add up to almost as much as the cost of the equipment. But there's no warranty for the equipment after year 1. That seems problematic to me. And how is the machine in the contract? It says very clearly in the contract that there's no implied anything beyond what's in the contract. There's no outside agreements in the contract about anything. So how is the machine going to deal with the attached declaration of assistance forms and multiple envelopes inserted with the declaration? I know that there might be that it would only allow you to put in 1 ballot somehow, but it doesn't say that. But there's still that form. Anyway, I don't see anything that says we're also going to address that. There was something in there that said that the information would only be provided to the county and to state elections, etc., and agencies of the United States government. Given the current situation of agencies of the United States government, I'm concerned about what the sideboards of that are. There seems to me that there is some ill will in the agencies of the United States government towards open elections right now. It says client agrees to bear all risk of loss, injury, or destruction of such goods and materials. Again, it's covering them, but it doesn't cover us, including interruptions, loss, or malfunctions, utilities, communications, something about that. I'm sorry, I forgot what it all said. The other one that I was most concerned about, besides how are they going to deal with the different forms, Runback shall provide technical support resources during the client's critical ballot processing period beginning 15 days prior to Election Day and 7 days after Election Day. It would seem to me that when do we begin to accept mail-in ballots? I think that's more than 15 days prior to Election Day. If it is 15 days, more than 15 days prior to Election Day, then that provision should reflect that, and maybe even reflect days prior to that. So again, I'm a little hesitant that it seems like we're going to be guinea pigs for this contract. But, and I appreciate all the efforts. I always appreciate everything that the elections department does. Deeply, deeply appreciative of everything they do. But I do hope that the things that I've mentioned have been considered and, but like I said, it says there's no implied anything in the contract. It's either in the contract or it isn't in the contract. So I'm concerned about some things. And again, I want to continue to express my deep appreciation for the elections department, and especially given the huge number of write-in ballots. And I understand how much effort they have to make to process those write-in ballots. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Freda.
Margaret Watts, Washington Township. I echo the same sentiments that Freda compliments the election board and the election department for handling, especially this year with all the write-ins. I saw hundreds, thousands, whatever, just was forever processing. And probably writing candidate campaigns that kind of came in at the last minute. I have a few questions that I hope that will be answered either today or at some point soon. I have some concerns because I do talk to a number of voting folks that do write in. They do mail ballots, provisional ballots. So there's just need for some clarity and some transparency. Does the county create a list of provisional and mail ballots that will be rejected? Is there an itemized list by category of error, like the signature, the secrecy envelope issues? Will there be a categorized itemization so we can see what's being rejected? If there are challenges to provisional ballots, how does the county alert those voters who have been challenged? How and when will this data be made public? And will it be posted on a website? And of course, I have to say which one. For some folks, they don't know that there are two websites. And could these two websites be explicitly linked to each other so people have a better access to locating the information they're looking for? It is confusing. I don't think people know that they're to look for Erie County Council specifically to locate election information. And a recommendation that would be helpful to the public if it's posted somehow. If you've moved and didn't update your registration, or if election mail sent to you has been returned as undeliverable, the state may send a confirmation notice to verify your address. And if you don't respond to the notice or miss voting in 2 consecutive federal elections, your registration may be considered inactive and you could be removed from the rolls. If someone is re-registering after an absence of 2 consecutive federal elections, then they need to register by the deadline preceding the election, which is about 15 days. If something like that could be posted in advance, it's informative for the public who may think they're eligible to vote in a certain district. They've moved, they haven't voted in a while, things like that. Just instead of having to go to the Department of State looking for those answers, which they don't even think they're doing anything wrong often. It's just something that we have available to the public and have access on websites that are linked that people can find out that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Sounds great.
Second.
Call the question.
Mrs. Showerman? Yes. Mr. Scatella?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Chairman Drexel?
Yes. Bob, we have the election report.
This is a pretty brief election report. I think we covered a lot of our numbers and information at the last meeting. just to go over some of those concerns about the website. Although we do have a new website, it is linked, with the main website for the county. So if you click on the elections department or any elections information from that Erie County PA.gov website, it's going to take you directly to the elections website and vice versa. So those work seamlessly as far as we're aware. We've checked on all of those links and it should be easy access. There's really only one site. Any of those old links have been deleted, so there shouldn't be any confusion. So I hope that answers some of those questions. Think that our election really went very seamlessly, very smoothly. No issues to report. We had a total of 174,014 voters registered in Erie County. And of those, I know there were some questions about how many people had changed parties since the general election to the primary election. We had 261 Republicans change their party affiliation to Democrat. We had 2 Republicans change theirs to other affiliation. We had 569 Democrats change their affiliation to Republican, and we had 2 Democrats change their affiliation to no affiliation. So there were a few changes in party movements, but overall, we had a great turnout, 24.89% turnout. I think if you look at the state statistics, that is above most of the counties of Pennsylvania for the municipal primary. So again, to echo the public's commendations, we did a great job internally. There were a lot of write-ins for our office to consider, and those have just been identified and tallied, and those are being finalized. The candidates who won those write-ins are going to be notified. They still have to become aware that they won that position. They have an opportunity to accept that position. They have some paperwork that they would need to be completing and turning in by August 1st so that they are able to be on the ballot for the general election. So a lot of kudos to our director, Tanya Fernandez, and her department. They did an excellent job going over those names and with the entire election process this year. So very pleased about that.
Have all those been all those people been contacted so far that won in the write-in?
That list was just finalized this morning, so they're in the process of being contacted.
Okay. Just was kind of looking for the timeline and stuff, so that's a question that's been asked of me.
Yeah, what is the timing there?
Once you certify the results, we'll mail them all a letter. It'll explain the whole process for accepting.
Okay.
Is there a deadline for that acceptance?
Said August 1st.
August 1st.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, I missed this.
Anything else from that? No. Alright. New business? Does anybody else have discussion or anything about the election report?
I guess I should mention on the election report, you're going to see that not all of the write-ins are accounted for, and that is because by name, because we passed a resolution with the Board of Elections in 2022 that if there weren't sufficient write-ins to win that seat, then the department is not going to look at every single write-in, because there are literally thousands of those that would not have an impact on any of the races. So all of the names are not going to be listed. We've had some calls about that. And also some of the numbers were high. There was one race where I think there were over 800 write-ins. However, we have to wait until it reaches 1,000 write-ins to look at all of those names as well, even if it didn't have enough to overcome the winner in that race. So on either front, that is resolution number 13 of 2022, and that is why some of those names are not going to appear final.
I just one of Maggie's comments made me think a little bit. I know that we maintained a database of all of the mail-in ballots that had some sort of error and was posted online on our webpage prior to the elections so that they could cure. I'm assuming we maintained that records retention of some kind. That's something that can be requested of the elections office. And do we know how far back our records go for that? Like, we have all elections that have had mail ballots, or like, what kind of data retention we?
The federal elections have a 22-month retention period. And other elections are less than that.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, new business, possible certification of the 2025 municipal primary election results. Discussion, anyone?
There have not been any changes. Here is the original here that you signed on June 3rd.
So we're just looking for a motion for the certification. Second.
All right, call the question?
Mr. Scatella,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Drexel.
Yes. All right, new business B, possible approval of resolution 5 of 2025, awarding the RFP for the learning management system software for online poll worker training. Anyone? This is pretty straightforward.
We had 5 vendors, really narrowed it down to, we had 2 really top contenders. One has more experience in Pennsylvania and has a searchability for our online, any poll workers that are going to get extra training from online, they'd be able to search what modules they're looking for. Whereas another company does not have the same features. It really came down to one clear winner for us in the end, and that was Electure LLC. They had an average score of 257 out of 270 points from our RFP committee.
And once again, we discussed this at the last meeting, but it won't replace hands-on training. It's just additional if people want further.
Right, it's imperative
their
people
own.
need to come in person and attend poll worker training. That does not excuse or anybody from attending that. That doesn't eliminate that. It's fully expected that our poll workers attend online training, or I'm sorry, in-person training, but the online training would be a supplement to that. And we've looked at the data from these companies, seeing that people access these trainings 12 hours before the election. So people, going in, maybe they have some second thoughts or want to make sure they understand something fully, so they access the modules the night before the election. Some people may just want a refresher during the year, coming up close to the elections, and access that. We have some things that might change a little bit. So people that are very familiar, who have been poll workers for a number of years and know their way around well, they can look at some of the new things to make sure they're more familiarized. So yeah, it's not a replacement, it's a supplement.
And you said this is grant funded?
Yes, it would be about $40,000 for the first year. It's $40,750 for the first year. The second year is $10,129. And for the maintenance and support, they have an unlimited number of support hours for us. I just think that overall, that's the best option, and our grant money will cover that.
I didn't see the contract attached for that resolution for that company.
Is here, it's in a bound.
Is, Tom, have you reviewed the contract?
No.
What's the timing on the award for this? Are we on a bond basis,
There's,
like constrained in some way?
Mr. Chair, this is, Mr. Chair, that's you. Yeah, this is really not a contract. What we can do is, you could still recommend the RFP, pass the ordinance for a resolution for the RFP. And then, the contract should be placed on council's agenda, and then council could approve it in between now and then. I could prepare a contract.
the content development would take about 4 months, once everything's done. And that includes them coming to our site and videotaping some of our training modules as well.
That's, you're right.
I'm fine with awarding the RFP and then, as Tom said, the pieces will fall into place after that.
Yeah, just a refresher. Board of Elections is to county council. Just like the administration is to county council. You could look at the board of, as far as, when you wear your county council hat, you could look at the election board as a department. Just like an administrative department. You have to approve, council has to approve. The election board action. Some things that are really internal and routine, probably not. But if there's a contract or if there's money, then of course it has to go to county council. Which is why all of these contracts or all of these RFPs and all that, and the people that you're working with, you should always include a provision within all of these contracts, subject to approval by county council. So they understand that there's a little process that we have to go through first. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think council could vote on this and recommend it. Yeah, see, the other thing is when for something like this, when the board is voting, what they're doing is passing a resolution. Recommending the approval of this to county council. Technically, that's how it's supposed to read.
So when I have we're recommending the approval of this pending before we vote on Tuesday, that we have a contract? Or is that too quick to have a contract?
Well, I think that what's in front of you now, you could say, vote yes and recommend, subject to the approval of county council.
So we're just awarding the RFP.
No, fine.
That's. the-
I understand what's happening here, I just making sure everybody else is comfortable with the scenario. We opening Pandora's box here, so.
Tom's point about the elections office being treated as a department. Let's say the purchasing department puts out for RFP a project. And it is paid for from a budget line item that we'd already approved. If they follow the appropriate RFP process to find an administrative code. I don't know that the contract awards. For those kind of contracts where the money's already set aside and the department's put out the RFP and they've approved it internally. I don't know that I've seen cases where we've later had to approve entering the contract. Usually we only have to approve where they're requesting a waiver.
Yeah.
For our RFP.
Well, you've only been here for a couple of years, but
Right.
that's always how it's gone, council approves it. And we have one instance in which we did not. Where the board did not have a contract was with, what's the name of that company? Election IQ. The company that we're dealing with right now are in the process of the dispute with, there was actually no contract there. So we have to piece it together with the RFP. But that's why it's number one, it's important to have agreements. To your point, just like in treating the election board as a department, the administration has to get county council approval for contracts in excess of 25,000. So I would apply the same rule to the election board. For smaller contracts, less than 25, things like that, they would not need county council approval. But if they're get into a contract that's higher than that, then they would need council.
This is higher than.
On its face from the resolution, I'm not seeing a value of the purchase.
Right, it's in the attached exhibit. Which is in the binder that Tom has.
Is it in?
No, it's
can you
beside
pass
you in
binder?
the bound book. With the yellow tab is where the price is on the back side of that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so 40,000,
That's why we put it out for RFP, because we knew that the lowest possible bid was well above the 25,000. So that's why we put it out for bid, because that, according to the purchasing code, that's what we have to do.
Mr. Chair.
So I'll just prepare a contract.
Yeah.
That we could, the council could review. It'll incorporate these issues, these provisions.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Confident that the elections office did their due diligence. In grading this RFP. Trust their recommendation, and I'll make the motion to approve. I will note, it would be nice to have those materials ahead of time in the future. The contract materials attached to this.
I'll second it.
All question?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes,
Mr. Scatella,
Yes.
Chairman Drexel.
Yes. New business C, possible approval of resolution 3 of 2025, authorizing the purchase of Sentinel Smart Mail ballot drop boxes from the Runbeck Election Services. This was tabled on 4/17/25. I understand from talking with Chilcott that Luzerne did a little test run with Runbeck. You have some information from that? You
Right,
can share with us?
I don't know if you wanted to untable it or.
Motion. Otherwise, it's not a discussion.
second,
All right, so,
Okay, on the motion to untable, Mrs. Showerman,
yes,
Mr. Scatella,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Chairman Drexel.
yes. Okay. Did you have any information or updates from them?
Remove from the table. So the information that I have is, yes, they did a test one in Luzerne County. That was a pilot project there. And the devices were, the Sentinel ballot box machines were placed indoors. And for this purpose, they were also not connected to Wi-Fi because they were just collecting data. And things went very well. So they're moving forward with deploying these for the general election this fall. Since the time that we've met, there are now thousands of purchase orders from counties across the country. We're looking at next primary election. If we're interested in doing these, they would be the indoor boxes. They would have the Wi-Fi functionality so that we can see how full the ballot boxes are for collection purposes and that sort of thing. If we wanted to wait until they have an outdoor box available, that's not going to be available until at least the general election in 2026. So right now, if we were to approve this, we would be agreeing to taking the boxes for the primary election. But as we've been working with them, if they had availability to get them to us for the fall election this year, that we would also agree to accept them for the fall election. And we also have Peter Stewart from Runback available by phone during our meeting right now. If anyone has questions about product or the warranties, functionality, timing, give them a call.
Yeah, it was, I didn't realize it was available by phone to us today, but, yeah, I was just gonna say, does anybody have any interest in hearing, you know, if you wanna hear more about this, like, if we can get, I mean, talking now, or set up a meeting in the future to listen to what's going on with this. It sounds like we have a bit of runway time here to ask questions and, you know, figure out what we're doing. It's not until the primary next year.
and Tom's going to look at the contract.
There are a few changes in it for the record.
Yeah. Just in.
But I thought
yeah.
that this had to be voted on. Soon. Get it. But we have to vote, say,
There's-
for this year.
if there is a possibility of getting them by fall, we definitely needed to make a decision in April to secure that spot. Right now, it might be possible, but we're looking at next year's primary. If they can get them to us before then they will, but we're looking for really next year's
Yeah.
primary.
That's what I'm saying, we have, because of that, we have some time
Sure.
to consider this, but I mean,
Does an approval for, to proceed with the purchase not provide us with the ability to negotiate the contract? To Fred's point, and I did notice this too, about the service terms beginning 15 days prior to election days and 7 days after election day. Like, I would think it'd be a simple amendment to be, sometime prior before the mail-in ballots are sent out, or, right, we wanna have that service. 15 days is not covering the full duration
Right.
of time that the.
That probably just needs to be spelled out in there because in our conversations, that is what we talked about, was more like, it has to be out at least 15 to 30 days before the mail ballots are going out,
that
so.
date could fluctuate, I think, you can't say 20 days, 21 days, whatever, cause it's gonna be a little bit different.
We were looking at the 1st of September, to have the ballot boxes here and installed originally. So you could see that there is plenty of time between that and when the mail ballots are going to be sent out. So I think that that's language that would need to be clarified in the contract that was intended by our conversation.
Tom, what were your recommendations? You said a couple things need to.
Well, I think that maybe you should table this till we like review the contract and suggest the changes through Karen to the other side.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion, consider that?
Second,
Call for the question?
Mr. Scatella,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
yes.
Chairman Drexler.
Yes. Oh, wow. Anybody have any comments they wanna make?
I'll just say great job again, once again.
Yeah, just thank you very much for everything that you guys do in this election process. This it's only my third that I've been part of, but, you know, with primary and general, but it seems like they get better every single time. And it ran really smooth. I was very happy to not have anybody sticking a microphone in my face, accusing me of losing mail-in ballots or anything crazy like that. So, thank you so much for all of the efforts in that, and so the entire staff in the election office. Other than that, I don't have anything else. No, bullshit, jerk. All right.
We need signatures here. This video, and the certification.